Hello everyone, let's see how to have total control of the limitation in the master track. So now I'm going to show you what I have in the master track, and as you see it's totally empty, it's all by default, 0 dBs, so let's see the level of the mix right now. And as you see right now it's clipping at about 5 dBs, which is a lot. And well, many people has asked me about the level of the mix when it comes to the master track, or the level of the guitars, drums, vocals or whatever. And I always say that at least in CUBASE or NUENDO it doesn't matter at all, because these programs work in a way that it doesn't create distortion or saturation unless it clips in the master track, but in the output of the master track, not in the input of the master track. So even if it comes with more than 0 dBs to the master track, you can lower, compress, limit or whatever you want to the audio, and it wouldn't create saturation. So in my opinion the best option is to use a limiter with caution, always with caution, not too much limitation, and I will put it post fader, so in the slots 7 or 8. Post fader means that the level that comes to the plugin is the level after the master fader, so we can control the audio level that comes to the plugin. And now I'm going to show you what happens if you use it pre-fader, and you will see that I can't control the audio level that comes into the plugin. So I keep everything by default and press play. So in this case it would be limiting 5 dBs, which is too much, and the fader doesn't affect it. And as you see, it's limiting exactly the same, so it's not a good place to put a limiter. So what we want is to control the input level that comes into the plugin, so we have to put it in the slots 7 or 8, which are post fader, as I said. And well, since the limiter I recommend to be the last one of all the plugins, I will put it in the slot 8, the last one. And I'm going to use L2. It's not a free limiter, but you have the W1, which is free, in the description below. And as you see, with the fader by default at 0 dBs, it still limits too much. And the threshold of the limiter is at max, so I can make it to limit less. But I can use the fader. So with the fader this low, now it isn't limiting at all, so I can adjust the limitation with the threshold of the limiter with no problem. So now we can adjust the threshold so it limits exactly the amount we want. And I recommend making an effective limitation of not more than 2 or 3 dBs and only on the peaks, so it won't lose any definition or low frequencies. So in this case it would be a fine limitation. I didn't add too much level to the mix, I mean I didn't make a very loud mix, but the purpose of the limiting is to avoid saturation. Don't try to make a super loud mastering because you will lose a lot of things of the mix. It's a very common mistake, many of the mixes you send me via Facebook have this same mistake, too much limitation. So you have a very loud mix, but you don't have any definition, and you lose a lot of low frequencies, lot of punchiness, what the fuck? And your drums are not too much punchy. So again, I recommend 2 or 3 dBs of limitation at max. So in this case I'm thinking this limitation is fine. Don't try to make hyper loud mixes because it's a very common mistake, as I said, and you will lose a lot of quality of the mix. It may sound louder, but it will sound worse. So you have to make a control limitation watching the attenuation, not the threshold. You may have a threshold of -2 dBs, but it doesn't mean it's limiting 2 dBs. It depends on the audio level that is coming into the plugin. So look at the attenuation. And now a very quick tip: if you want to use a limiter pre-fader in the slots 3 or 4, for example, I recommend to put the limiter in the last of the slots, the last plugin of all, but you never know when you will need to put a limiter in another place. So now to control the level of the audio that is coming into the limiter, we have to add another plugin. Any plugin will work, but it needs to have control of the output level. So now I'm going to let all the settings by default. I don't want any compression, but I'm going to adjust the output of this plugin, so the level that comes into the limiter will be some dBs less. So let's see how much it limits now. It's okay, so now I'm going to adjust the limitation. And now this would be fine, so I hope you enjoyed this video, and as usual, see ya!
One more time! Or twice!